everyone, my name is Alex and today I'm going to explain you how to make great pizza at home using a pizza making kit, which is our own kit from NaPizza, your essential kit for making great pizza at home. And I'm going to show you what you'll get with your kit, and we'll explain you the different ingredients and how to use them. In the kit you get 1 kilo of Petra flour, which is a semi-whole grain flour. You will get tomato for the tomato sauce. We'll explain you that the only thing that you actually need for a great pizza sauce, it's just great tomato. Then you'll get the extra virgin olive oil and we'll explain you how to use it. Then one of the most important thing is the yeast, so you'll get 6 grams of yeast and a pizza slicer, so that's a very important tool that you shouldn't be missing in your home. Then you'll get salt as well, and then a brief explanation of what I'm going to show you later in the dough making. And then you'll get some more information about the flour and the grain we're going to use today. So we're going to use an organic flour, and you have some links to the flour supplier where you can get more tips and insights about this kind of particular flour or other flours, for example for pastries, bread and so on. So today I'm going to explain you how to mix the dough and how to prepare the pizza bases at home. We have a more professional mixer, basically. We're going to use our hands, but this you can build your own at home, or you can buy it online, or you can ask us to make one for you. The process of pizza making consists into mixing the flour and the yeast for a few minutes before to oxygenate the flour. Then we're going to add water, and then at the end, 5 minutes from the end, we're going to add salt. In this instance we also have olive oil, and the simple reason is that you don't have the same temperature at home in your home oven. So basically you need something to help the dough cook better. So at home you have a 250, maximum 300 degrees Celsius, so the dough needs something else, an extra hand to cook faster and better. So first of all, we add the full pack of flour, which is 1 kilo, and then we'll have the yeast. So now the most important thing of dough making is yeast. So basically, if you understand how yeast works, you'll understand how to make a better pizza. So think about the yeast as an engine, as an extra push for the flour, for the dough to rise, to proof, basically. So here we have 6 grams in total. There's never a right amount, an exact amount of yeast. The yeast changes depending on the temperature. So for example, if today it's warmer outside, which in Scotland it's a little bit hard, we use less yeast because we have the heat, we have the warm temperature, which will help the dough proof faster and naturally. So we don't need a very strong engine, basically, to make the dough rise. If it's colder instead, we need a stronger power, we need more yeast, so therefore maximum quantity which I advise per kilo, it's about 6 grams, but we never put 6 grams. We normally put 2-3 grams in summer, we put about 3-4 grams in winter, so it always changes. So you go outside, you check the temperature, is it cold today, and I'm going to decide on what amount of yeast should I put in. So in this instance, it's summer, we're going to put less yeast, and it's basically the dough will proof naturally. We don't need a lot of yeast, because what the yeast does, it transforms the flour into carbonic gas, and therefore if you put too much yeast and you eat it within a few hours of dough proofing, you'll feel bloated, you'll feel heavy, you will want to sleep. So if you go into a place and after you eat the pizza you feel heavy, you feel bloated, it means that the dough is unproofed and there is excessive amount of yeast. So basically in this instance I'm going to use dry yeast, and which is in one small recipient it's exactly 3 grams of yeast. So what we're going to do now, as we said, we mix flour and yeast only. You all think that this is a simple or maybe useless process, but it's one of the most important because it helps oxygenate the flour. See, when we have normal yeast, we dissolve it into water because that activates it. So basically this is the same concept. We try to activate the process. So we do this normally for about 5 minutes. Okay, so now after we mixed only flour and yeast, now we're going to add the water. Basically what happened, we used 3 grams of yeast for 1 kilo of flour to make sure it's not too heavy. Basically we don't need more. So now we're going to add water, just a small quantity at a time, and the quantity of water is about 650 grams. So that means a 65% hydration of the dough. That also changes. Basically, if you want to store the dough for longer, you make it, you put less water. So for example, you put 500 grams or you put 550. That means, because the dough basically in time, it will release more and more water. So for example, if I add and if I make it now 65% hydration, in 2-3 days the dough will be 70-75% because it creates more water, it releases more water. But that means that I'll have more proof dough, so I need to use it faster. Instead, if I put less water, that will be a drier dough, but in time, in 3-4 days, I'll have a great dough, so I can store it for longer. So we're going to use water now, and we're going to mix. If you use the right quantity of water, the right quantity of ingredients, you don't need to add extra. So we're trying to take as many things as possible and all the flour all together, and even though it may seem that it's never going to come together, it will at a moment. You just need to be patient. Basically it's important not to add extra quantities, because once you have measured all the ingredients, and in the kit you will have all the ingredients measured, you don't actually need to add anything else. You just need to be patient. So the dough came together, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take the dough away from the recipient and we're going to mix it on a different surface. Okay, so the whole process, the whole time that you should mix the dough should be about 25 minutes, half an hour. So the important thing is we don't want to keep our hands on the dough all the time, because that will stress the dough, that will warm up the dough. So we want to touch the dough as less as possible. So I do this, take off my hands, I press, and again, I'm not doing this. I'm not always keeping my hands on the dough, but I try to take it away and always close the middle. So about 5 minutes from the end, we add salt. Salt is about 20-25 grams of salt per kilo. So basically we do it at the end, when we only have about 5 minutes left to make the dough. A timer could also be useful. So put that here, put it on the base as well. Here we go. So this bit is very important as well, because we need to make sure the dough actually absorbs the salt. So to put it here, it can be a bit frustrated in the beginning because you'll feel the salt on your hands, but that eventually is going to melt. So this gives it a lot of elasticity, so it's going to be very elastic and is going to break a few times. But then sooner or later it's going to come together. This is hard work. For good pizza you need hard work. And now, after a while of actually mixing the dough, you'll not feel the salt anymore. It should be gone. And that's our base done. Another important part of a great pizza is tomato sauce. Basically, we don't have a recipe for the tomato sauce, and we don't have any secret ingredient. Basically, the most important thing about the pizza sauce is the tomato. So if you have a sweet tomato, you have a good tomato, you will not need any extra ingredients. The only thing you need is a pinch of salt and some olive oil. Again, because you don't have the same temperature as we have in a wood-fired oven, but at home you have a commercial domestic oven, therefore you don't have a great temperature, so you need something to help the sauce cook basically. So this is a bio tomato. It's a peeled tomato and is basically going to have some sauce as well. So we're going to open this can, add a pinch of salt, add some olive oil, and then smash it by hand and mix it. So if you see the great texture, it's very nice and red. I'm going to put this slowly in the container. Don't add any water, because what we normally tend to do is, because we see this tomato sauce here, we add some water to wash up the can. We can do that when we cook pasta, but not when we make the pizza sauce. So try to use as much as possible. Here we go. So if you see, we have a nice red tomato, a nice red sauce. Look at the texture. Okay. We normally, for 3 kilos, we use about 25 grams of salt. In this instance, we're going to use slightly less than. It depends on everyone's taste. If you want a saltier tomato sauce, or if you want a more mild one. So, since I'm going to add about maybe 5, I like it a little bit salty. So I'm going to put the salt over. Here we go. And then I'm going to mix using my hand. So be careful when you squeeze the tomato not to make a mess around. So if you see, it's all a nice tomato. Look, it's not green, it's all red and nice. So what we're going to do is I'm going to smash this like this into pieces. You may ask, why don't we use a blender? Blender is not good because it's going to basically break the seeds, break the whole tomato, and it's going to make the pizza sauce too liquidy. So we don't want to remove basically the taste or the texture of a good natural tomato. Now we have a nice tomato sauce, not too liquidy. We have the chunks of tomatoes, and is going to taste great. So we put this aside. And then we'll start the preparation of the pizza bases. So here we have our dough after about 10 minutes of just leaving it there. Take the time to actually expand a little bit and get the right temperature. In the kit, we forgot to mention that you'll get one of these, a plastic one, the ones that you can actually work better at home with. And then you will need a scale, 1 kilo or less, so that we can prepare the same quantity for the bases. And then you're going to need a recipient for putting the bases for overnight, for storing them overnight. So basically what we're going to do just now, we're going to cut the bases, we're going to weight them, and then we're going to show you the movement on how to close them down and have a nice round shape. So with the spatula, I'm going to cut from here and try to get, so this is what we need to have, right? There are different ways of making it. The easiest way for you at home is with the eye you need to consider a little bit what the quantity should be. You put here, and as you can see this is 193. We normally make the pizza base for about 250, 270 grams. At home, you should try to make the same, just to make sure it cooks properly. You may have noticed that we didn't add the olive oil, not to the dough and not to the tomato sauce, and this is because we're going to use these pizzas and we're going to bake them in our wood-fired oven, so we don't need that. So it's an extra ingredient that you don't actually need, only if you make pizza at home. If you have a wood-fired oven in your garden, don't add olive oil. You have the right temperature, so there's no need for extra fat basically. But if you don't have a wood-fired oven, you have a domestic oven, just add the olive oil in the tomato, add some olive oil in the dough while you mix it. So we're going to use this about, this is too much. So I think 230 for home should be enough. You don't need to get the right amount. So now the important movement is how we make this a pizza, how this becomes a pizza. So basically what we want to do is get the nice part here, the nice smooth part, and then we have this rough part here. So what we want to do is we want to push this inside using our fingers. So this is what we want to do, putting it all inside and making a nice round shape. So see, we want to close this, so you can also use this and close like this. And we also can do this, we can take our time and just make it round and try to close it inside. So we're pushing this into here, so this should be the movement, okay? So now we have the base basically, and we put it into a container. Now we have a more professional container, but at home you can have a plastic box or a wooden box. It's important that the dough has the space in between, so we're going to put this in the base. So if you see, if you press on it, the dough needs to come back. So after we do this, the very important thing is to keep them, depending on how you want to use it and how quickly you want to make the pizza. Never use them the first 7-8 hours, because during this process, during the 7-8 hours, the dough proofs, and the yeast creates that carbonic gas, therefore the proofing. If you eat the dough within the first few hours, first of all, it's going to be incredibly hard to stretch. You'll not be able to stretch the dough with your bare hands, but you'll need something else. So we need to leave them at least 8 hours, then 12 hours, 24 hours, it's even better. If we want to use the dough, let's say in 2 days time, first thing what you do is take it away from here, cover it, seal it, make sure no air comes inside, and you keep it in the fridge. We use the cold temperature to keep the proofing down. Instead, if we need it tomorrow morning, for example, we still put it straight in the fridge, but in the morning we take it out and leave it at room temperature. That will basically make the dough lighter, and it's going to be ready faster. Therefore, if you leave it outside at room temperature, or maybe in some deposit that you have or garage, you keep it there at a great stable temperature, and the dough will basically proof faster. If we keep it in the fridge, the proofing will slow down because of the cold. But never prepare the pizza dough, the actual dough, and make it straight away after 2 hours. Just always leave it 7-8 hours. Making great pizza takes hard work, obviously, like with everything else. It's simple, but it takes hard work and it takes patience. So if you want to prepare the dough for the next day, just make it in advance, obviously, and make sure you follow all the steps. So here we see the difference between the proofed and unproofed fresh dough, basically. So this is impossible to stretch. This is going to come back again all over. This one, it's ready. This one has about 24 hours of proofing. You see the difference already. You see how blown this is. This is a little bit cold, but left at room temperature is going to be just great for making great pizza. So these are the two differences. This is how it should look like. This it's not ready, so you need to leave it for a few hours for the process to happen, for all the ingredients to interact with each other, and then be patient and wait for this to be able to make a good pizza. So here we go. So we have the proof dough. This is about 24 hours. Again, after 12 hours it's safe to start making pizza, but 24 hours, 48 hours, it's even better. And that means that you'll have a lighter dough, so you'll digest it easily and you'll not feel bloated, you'll not feel heavy. So this is the base that we have, and we're using semola flour to mix the dough, to stretch the dough. We don't use flour because most of the times at home the mistake we make is that we use flour to stretch the dough. That means that the flour will attach to the dough, and that will be a floury taste. The dough will have a floury taste. You'll feel flour on your lips. Instead, semola, if you make it like this, it will disappear. It will not stay to the dough. It will not attach. So what we do is we use our fingers, we use our hands to stretch the dough, no any other tools. So to make a Neapolitan pizza, we don't want to touch the edges of the dough. So what we do is this: we press, come from the sides, and go soft slowly from the middle. We turn it, we do the same, and then we flip it over the other side and we do the same. So again, we don't want to touch too much in the middle, so we go from the sides. Here we can also stretch the dough, but again, we don't stretch from the sides, we stretch from the sides. Okay, so we don't want to make it too thin in the middle. Once we have that, you have to remember the base, how you got it and what side is onto the working surface, basically. So this one was the top side of the dough. So what we want to do, first of all, we want to remove the semola flour, and we want to use the one that has been under. We want to flip it and have it on top. So here we have a nice round shape. Okay, we remove the excess semola flour away, and now we're going to use our tomato sauce. So we stir it before, take 1 full spoon and we put it right in the middle. We don't want to press, and we don't want to use the edges of the scoop. We want to use the top, the bottom, and we want to use the weight of the scoop. We don't want to press. And this is for a simple reason. So if you see, if I'm using the weight, I'm not pressing, this is what happens. If instead I'm pressing, it's going to leave empty marks on the pizza. So I don't want that. We're going to add some more liquid sauce. Here we go. Okay, so we have this. Now we can either add basil in the beginning or when the pizza comes out. If you're cooking it in a domestic oven, you want to cook the base first, and then halfway through the cooking process you want to take the pizza out, add tomato sauce and add mozzarella, because if you put it, you don't have the same temperature, so all the ingredients are going to burn on top of the pizza. So again, we want to preheat the domestic oven very well, at least about an hour before, so that you have the maximum and best temperature. We want to pre-cook the dough, then we want to take the dough out, add tomato sauce, add mozzarella. Mozzarella right about a minute from the end, because mozzarella cooks quickly. So in this case we're going to add some basil. 3 is plenty. I like a lot of basil. And then we're going to add mozzarella. So the mozzarella is very important because it makes the pizza stick together. So we want to cover all the tomato sauce. We want to put mozzarella all over where tomato is. Here we go. We don't want too much mozzarella. For this we're going to use a little bit of olive oil just on top. Here we go. Nice and yellowish. And now we're going to put it in the oven. Using a little bit of semola. And it goes right in the oven.